What's up, everybody? It's good to see you all again. It's been a while. A lot of things are changing. Trying to get situated here in Western New York and get a house and everything, and then get the family all moved in and stuff. So lots of stuff going on, and it's been kind of hectic. Changing, lots of changes in life. So, but here today, as you saw from the description, we're going to be making a kiln. Now, I'm already started on this, but I'm going to walk you through what I've done so far. I hope you enjoy the show. Okay, so as I was. Now, I've already gone and taken a few steps ahead. The first thing that you have to do is make sure your propane tank is empty. Very important for safety. You want your propane tank to have the littlest, it's always going to have pressure until the seal's broken, but you want it to have zero pressure in it. So you leave it on with a drain hose, draining the rest of the remaining propane from your tank. Then, this is going to be in here really tight. It's going to be cemented. So I had to ratchet strap this to a post, and then it's recommended you take a breaker bar, something that fits right over this, you slide it on there, and you pull with a lot of leverage. But this thing was old and rusted, so I actually had to take a block of wood, hold it there, and smash the block of wood with a mallet to get it to break loose. I got it off, and right now we're in the process of cutting the top off. So we're going to cut the whole top off all the way around here, and as you see, I've got it lined with a piece of black tape there so that I'm cutting straight. And once we cut this top off, we're going to move on to the next step, which is going to be cutting out our vent hole. Alright, now the top, after we get done with this, we're going to have a hinge reattaching the top on the side. Okay, so I hope you enjoy. Forgot to mention one critical step. After you take the assembly out of the top, you're going to want to flush the tank with water. And I also used a little Dawn dish soap because those fumes that are left inside the tank are still very dangerous if you start cutting on it and sending sparks. So you definitely want to flush it out with some fresh water or old water in general. And I like to throw a little Dawn dish soap in there with it just for funsies. Might take a couple rinses. Get all those fumes out. So you can see right here, I started to go a little too fast, and I started to work my way up the tape line a little higher than the rest of the way around. That kind of sucks, but it's not a big deal. We're still going to have a straight seal because it's going to go on exactly where it goes, but really try to take your time and make that straighter than what I just did. Alright, so again, I kind of messed up there at the end. It's okay, it can be cleaned up. If I need to, I'll just grind the whole thing to a level flatness again. We just go ahead and cut this the rest of the way off. we're going to go ahead and change our cutting wheel to a grinding wheel. You notice a cutting wheel is very thin. Grinding wheel is quite thick. Has a lot more material. And whereas this is meant to cut along, this can kind of grind at angles and side to side and this way and that way. So there's a tool here that you use, and make sure you unplug so you don't accidentally hit the trigger and cut your hand all apart. Basically, you push this button in and you put your tool in here, but if you kind of grab the blade, okay, it's tight. So we're gonna use the tool. You don't want to cut your hands. You put that right there in those circles, boop, and she's loose. She drops everything. We put our other blade on, and now the thing about the head, it's got two different sides. See how this side is flat with an inlet, and this side has a piece that sticks out. So the flat with the inlet would go for your thin blades. The piece that sticks out goes inward to lock into the center of your thick blade. We give her a good little tighten. The whole time keeping your finger pushed on that button. That's a locking ball that goes in there. A little tight. And we're good to go. Let's grind this smooth. Once your top is smooth, you're going to deburr the inside and the outside edges so you don't cut your hands all up on little flakes of steel that are left. Then we're going to do the same thing to the top. That's good enough. And if you notice, what I didn't say about deburring is just, you're just going to kind of hold it at a little bit of an edge. You're going to break the plane of the corner, and it's just going to rip all that sharp stuff off. You really should do this with gloves anyway, but it takes off all that sharp stuff so you don't rip your hands open earlier. I feel right here I need a little more work. How it sits on here, because I know there's going to be a part with a gap. Okay. Looks like that's how it goes. We've got a little gap here. This is nothing we can't fill with a little bit of weld and then grind smooth, and we'll get to that when we get to the final stages. For now, I need to mark where I want my hinges to go so that it's just easier and I don't have to go through this whole process again. Since this side has the part that's going to be filled and corrected, I'm going to go ahead and put my hinge over here. All right, next step, to make the top a top. Now that hole's nice, it's a little hole, but we need a bigger vent hole. So we're gonna take a can, we're gonna take something about this size around here, hold it right down in here, in the center, and draw around, draw around, go. Shop owner just showed up. Okay, so I just got done talking with my buddy and he just scared the living crap out of me with these little wheels. They're very dangerous, these cutoff wheels for air tools. And this is a wide gauge air hose. I don't know, what is it, 3/4 inch? Half inch? Sorry, it's a half-inch air inlet on that thing. So there's a lot of pressure pushing through this thing, a lot of volume. And if these break, they can be very damaging. So he's just like, damn, we don't want it sticking in your chin and ripping your face off. I'm like, great, thanks. Anyway, here we go. We're gonna cut out this circle here, and I'm gonna score some lines around the outside, cut some. We're gonna have to take this section by section because we don't have a small saw, or a plasma cutter would be the best thing, a nice plasma cutter, but we're gonna do with what we got. We got good tools to do it with, just not what I wanna use. I think we're going to kick it up in size a little bit for this part. Flat, smooth side, remember? Alright, let's try a little more girth on it. Okay, so I cut a little bit outside of my little line, but I don't really care about that because it's just a vent hole. We don't really care. I can throw a little bead of weld on there later when we're patching up the top, like in the little spot I was talking about, if I feel frisky. But we cut her out here, and we got a nice brass ring in here inside this. So it would be nice to drop this in the kiln to test it out, see if we can separate, get it to the right temperature to separate the brass, melt the brass and leave the steel solid. It'd be a good way to extract the copper and brass and other metals from steel without having to rip it all apart totally. And then we just got our slag left, and that's just a bunch of crappy junk. So, all right, next thing we're gonna do is we've got our line, and I'm gonna take the small little dangerous cutter again, and we're gonna score around that outside, and we're gonna finish cutting this hole out. Okay, so just to show you what I'm talking about, I've hacked a bunch of straight lines up. You can see that one where I overcut. That was my first cut. That wasn't what I just did now, I promise. But you cut lines all the way up to where your circle is, and then when you score around the edges of your circle, you're not putting on an intense amount of pressure on your blade. Pieces are falling out and allowing your blade to rotate with the circular cut. Okay, we've got a circular pattern forming, and we can clean that up with the grinding wheel once we get it all cut out. I won't make you guys suffer through any more part of this process. I'll get back to you at the next step. All right, we're back. We've got our hole cut out, right there. See that? Very hole-ish. And now we're going to change back over to our grinder blade and smooth that out and make it look halfway presentable. Okay, so it doesn't have to be perfect, but I like it to be somewhat presentable, and that's good. So that's good for our vent hole. Now we've got to go ahead and line back up here. And it sounds like my shop owner buddy here is running his welder right now. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this, and I'm going to see if he can't tack me a little bit of weld while he's working away over there. I'll meet you guys later. Okay, we're back with more funsies. And now I'm going to go ahead and grind this weld smooth. Nice little fill job I got here. On the inside because I'm going to keep it for structural integrity, but I'm just going to get rid of some stuff that might catch and build slaggy funky. Alright, now we're going to check and see how well it seals and where we have to make any adjustments. So, we've got our blue lines on here, and our quick line up. And look at how much of that gap we got rid of. My buddy did a great job filling that. Okay. The gap really doesn't feel bad anywhere. It feels like the part that we welded here, the part that we had to fill here, is the worst of it, and it's not bad at all. So we're not going to be losing much heat. Nothing a little bit of insulation can't fix. So, on to the next part. The next part is we got to get a hinge, we got to drill some holes, and we got to put that hinge on. So I'll be back with you when I've got that. Okay, so we're near the end of today's video. I'm going to go ahead and straighten the top out, and then I'm going to see if I can't get the hinge on. We found a little hinge, but it might not work. So I'm going to try. Oh, here it is on the ground. But if you see, it's quite a long bar on the bottom of this hinge. And when you bend that bar, it's not going to open right. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to just cut through the bar of the hinge and leave the rest of it sturdy and together. And then when I tighten the bolts down, drill some holes and tighten the bolts down, that should pull the whole hinge separate and allow those two bars to work independently. That's my theory. If not, I'll have to go tomorrow when I get the foundry cement. I'm going to have to go get a hinge that'll work as well. So we're going to move on with this. Alright, good enough for me. Way straighter than it was, and that's plenty good enough. So that's that. Now we can work on a hinge. Alright, so I'm going to try to very carefully cut this hinge. And again, if I ruin the hinge cutting it, then obviously the video's done for the day. Straight through the locking bar, or the hinge axle bar, but not through the structural integrity of the hinge. Let's see if it still operates. It does. Very good. I think this will work. Alright, so now I'm going to choose to put the large pieces on the bottom and the small pieces on the top. And I want to do the top first because, well, that's going to be the hardest part to do. So, you know what the best part about having a buddy with shop and tools is? You always have the right tool for the job. It's really nice because without the right tool for the job, everything is just 10 times harder. You can still do it, but it sucks. When you have all the cool tools and the right place with a nice heater, it's a lot easier. Gosh, a tight hole. And gentle people, we're going to do this part by hand, the old-fashioned way. Okay, we are secured. And now we have a nice little gap for which the top to meld. Very nice. Okay. And boom. Closes. Nice. All the way around. Opens, closes, closes up. Now that is a kiln. Not yet. So tomorrow we'll get the foundry cement. And we'll put in the foundry cement. We'll cut our hole for our flame input. And then we'll go ahead and get it ready to roll. And hopefully tomorrow we'll have flame. See you then. Okay, so whilst searching for marks, whoa! Look at that. Okay? Whoa! Come on, Stewie. Nose opens all the way.